Hello, everybody, and welcome to another live episode of the New England Melee podcast. I'm Glock. I'm joined with, you guys can introduce yourselves.
I'm Electroman Gent. What's up, everybody? Happy to be here. Thanks for coming to watch.
Hi, I'm G-Town Tom. I yell people play games.
Overseer. For one more month, our Overseer. Uh, yeah, we wanted to do a live episode like we did last time, 6 months ago. Was the last time, almost exactly 6 months ago, right? It was the last time we did a live episode. And we released the prior or the current PR, I guess. But the next PR is finished. It's done. We wanted to do a quick live episode to reveal it. Is there anything you guys want to say, just like in general, before we get into the list itself? Because I know people are desperate to hear it.
Yeah, I mean, I can say, I know, first of all, Tom has done an incredible job, really kind of spearheading. I mean, he's spearheaded our PRs for the last, I don't even know, Tom, what's it gonna be, man? Like 8, 9 years? Dude, I don't know, but he's done it for so long that like I can't even remember at this point. So, we're happy to have Tom do all the work that he was able to do, spearhead this project as his last PR, the last graphic that Tom will ever be a part of, which is kind of wild. So definitely just a big thanks to Tom for sure.
Yeah, I mean, G Town's been the keeper of the power rankings for the better part of a decade. And it's kind of fucked up to think about that this is the last time that he's going to be involved with the process because I don't know, I've just gotten so used to being reached out to for this kind of stuff and talking about PRs and voting on some of them, especially for like New Hampshire. But it's just I'm choosing not to think about it too much. But we have a whole list to get to. As we did last time, we're going to start at the top because I think that in general, we all kind of have an idea of the people at the top. The bottom tends to be where it's more contested and where there's more parsing of data to do. I don't know about you guys. I always find it harder to differentiate. Like the 1 through 7, 8-ish is always easier for me than the 8 through 15. That's where you really have to start like splitting hairs and doing some serious data diving. So um, I guess I'll go ahead and get started and just announce number one. I think I did it last time too, and there's not
Go
much
ahead,
has
man.
changed. Number one in New England, still Calvar. I mean, he is still just the fucking the god of New England, man. He's been number one. G Town, you probably have this information on hand. How many seasons is this in a row for Calvar at number one? Four or
well,
five, and then before that, like
well,
four again.
yeah. So he had a bad start to 2024, if I remember right. It was, let's see. So if you just go back to like since COVID hit, right? Um, since COVID hit and since we started doing PRs after that time. So Calvar was number 3 on our first PR after we got back. He was number 3, and then he was number 2, and then he was number 1 for spring 23. Uh, Fall 23, he was number 1. Spring 24, he was 3rd. But then fall 24, he got back to 1st, and then winter 25, he got back to 1st. So, not really much of a surprise. I mean, this guy's been top 3 for a long time. When was the last time he wasn't 3rd? The last time he wasn't top 3 was the PR that came out in early 2019 when he was 4.
Yep.
And the last time that he wasn't top 5 was, wow, really? It looks like 2017.
Good God, that's gross.
Yeah,
He's been top
yeah,
five for 8 years. He's been number one, I said, almost uninterrupted for the last 4.5 years. Basically, since COVID came back, he's been number one almost uninterrupted, which
yeah.
is
Well,
crazy.
when Dr. Lobster wasn't
Yeah.
here, is
Yes.
the important thing, because
Yes.
that was the one of the few people that was around that really made it hard for Calvar, no
Yeah.
doubt about it.
Yeah. I
The one thing
mean,
I'll say about Calvar is that I think I would say that like if I had to describe this season and the last year in New England Melee like with one word, it would be change. Like I think that we're entering a different era now. We're seeing a lot of new faces, but we continue to see those faces that are sticking around and doing very very well for themselves. And I think in a field of change, Calvar David sticks around as the glue, even despite the change. Like he has been here regularly. He's been a thorn in our side for many players, and he continues to do it. And he's had, the season hasn't been easy for him. We'll get to that, but he's able to stick around even despite that. So definitely well done to Calvar.
Yeah, I mean, to actually go into what his season looked like, I mean, he had kind of his normal, almost weird to say normal, but he dominated New Hampshire. I mean, 10-6 on Ember is as close of a record as he had with most people in the region. 14-1 over Bonfire, 7-0 over me. Dominated his home state of New Hampshire, both at locals and regionals and monthlies alike. Really solid out of region stuff. I mean, I know he beat Bobby or Chicken Man, he beat Dreffen, he beat Boyd. In terms of the bigger New England stuff, he had a winning record on Nariel, who was one of the hardest hitters of this last ranking period. Really, his only like hiccup, the only blemish, if there is one, in his entire season was that he had an 0-4 record on Tommy, if I'm correct, right? It was 0-4,
Yeah.
and they were all at regionals. That is like the only blemish on his record, and it's saying something that's probably the biggest blemish his record has had in like multiple years. Like this dude is in an era of dominating and continues to do so. It's just endlessly impressive to me.
Yeah.
Eh,
Oh, go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
I was gonna mention real quick. He was out here too. Like he had 43 tournaments that he attended. Like that is
Yeah.
Yeah.
a crazy ass number.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like saying the same things over and over every time we talk about the guy, but he attends more than just about anybody. And why wouldn't you when you win just about everything, right? Like he's one of our most active players, one of our longest standing players, and the most dominant player that New England has seen in many years. Again, I don't want to just beat the same drum last time we talked about him, but it remains true.
Yeah. I will. I mean, I'll take the next person unless you wanna take it. Up to you.
Feel free.
Okay. Okay. So, real quick before we get to this person, number two, I think was for towards the end of the season and after the season ended, as this PR was kind of being worked on, there was a lot of I think discussion around who would number two be. There's a couple names that you heard around here, but I think that it ended up going to one of the most deserving players of it. Number two for the summer 2025 New England Millionaire PR is going to go to Nariel. So congratulations to Nariel, Connecticut's number one player. Has been Connecticut's number one player for now a year, since last season into this season. Pikachu player with a Fox secondary as well. And this season, I mean, it's hard to, as someone that's been able to really see Nariel grow throughout his time in New England. It's wild to say that this season has just been like somehow he's 10x'd what he's done before. So I'll just go through the records because it's just kind of absurd. Like he's 1-1 with E Poodle, it's a top 50 player in the summer rankings. 2-1 with Fitzy, winning record on a top 100, probably top 100 player this year. 1-0 on Tommy, 1-0 on Tori, Bonfire, 2-1 on Eduport, 1-0 on me, 2-0 on Evening Star. The guy just does not lose. Like he just does not get upset. His resume has very few blemishes. He punches up across like people outside of New England. Just an awesome player to see grow and be able to stand the test of time. Despite being a newer player. And yeah, so congratulations to Nariel for number two.
Yeah, and I mean, not even mentioned in that laundry list of things that you just said is he also had a win on Calvar, which is invaluable. I mean, that guy beating him at a monthly is a big deal, no matter what period. And he also beat Glitch at one of the first events of the period at Gighawk. So, like, speaking even more to his ability to punch up out of region, and the fact that he doesn't really sustain that many upsets in region. He's just straight up dominant. He's Connecticut's present in every way. He's clearly, I think, their best player by his current resume. And that's saying something because Connecticut is crazy stacked right now, like crazy stacked.
Absolutely. Tom, any words about Nariel?
I mean, went from HM to 6 and now to 2. I mean, what can you really say? I mean, the guy's just skyrocketed upward, the ranking.
Yeah.
Is easily easily one of the fastest rises that I've seen from somebody going from, unranked all the way to second. you know, in the span of, what was that, 2 seasons? Pretty good.
Yeah,
Uh,
pretty good.
Yeah, it's mind
uh,
boggling.
yes.
And kind
And
of
I hope,
like, oh, go ahead.
I was gonna just finish and just say real quick, I hope that he gets out and travels and goes to more big tournaments and gives himself those opportunities to, to play a lot of these, very good out of region players, when the money's really on the table, right? That's something I think that we'd all like to see.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah,
one of the big
go
reasons
ahead.
that again you were saying like this season has been one of change, and I think that this is part of it. Is players like Nariel who are just like meteorically rising to be like undeniably one of the best players in region. From like he was good 6 months ago. Like obviously he was high on our PR, and a year ago he was good. He was like honorable mention on the PR. Like everyone knows that he's been good, but it's just like the making the jump from really good ranked player to like cream of the crop in region is really hard to do, and he's not the only person who has broken through in that regard.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that Calvar and Nariel really kind of represent two parts of where New England Melee is today. Like Nariel is really kind of spearheading this newer foundation for the scene, newer players that are coming in. I think it's very important to have players like Nariel and other players that we're going to talk about today, because in a region like New England where we have players that have stuck around forever, new players that come in and see other newer players succeed, it gives them confidence that, oh, well, if they can do it, clearly we can get up there and punch up with the best of them. So yeah, Narios does an incredible job. Very proud of him. Well done. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's number two.
I think G-Town, I'm going to let you officially intro him because I know we like to alternate here, but it couldn't be a better segue because I think number 3 and number 2 have a lot in common. A lot of the stuff we just said applies.
Yes,
So take it
I
away.
would I would certainly agree. So now we get all right. So now for number three, I mean, number three could have been second. It's at least to me easy, pretty easy number three. Uh, this time for the summer 2025 PR, that number three is Tommy, and is not hard to see why he got it. If you just if you go and you just look at his records, 4-0 on Calvar is insane. Like that is a phenomenal record against the best player. No, 1-0 on Ember. No, 1-0 with Bonfire 10, who's like around this range. 1-0 on Sika, who is one of the top ranked Montreal players. Um, 3-1 Green Stash, and also just like dominant in Connecticut. 3-1 Slocks, 2-0 Artie, 1-0 Arn. I mean, Wing 2 Mass Madnesses. I mean, you just go and you look at all that stuff. It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
And I think it goes to show that, when it came to when it comes to him attending tournaments, right? Like he's just a threat to win every tournament that he goes to, pretty much regardless of like who's in attendance. He can just go and just beat all of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think
And
I think
yeah,
his case is like when you just look at it like mathematically, it's cut and dry, man. I mean, he dominates
yes,
his home state. He beats everybody in his home state pretty much, dominant. And when he travels and plays against the best players of New Hampshire and Massachusetts, he beats them. Like he dominates his home state and he beats all the best players in all the other states in New England. I think the only reason, again, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I know I wasn't a balloter like you were, G Town, but I feel like the only reason this dude's 3 instead of 2 is just because Nariel's out of region wins were so quality. Like
yes,
I think there's a strong argument that strictly speaking in region, New England only, Connecticut only, I think you can
yes,
argue Tommy's resume is more impressive. I think I would make that
yes,
argument personally.
yes,
And the only reason I think Nariel's above him is because his out of region wins were so quality. I mean, I think these two players are
yes.
just like clearly Connecticut's 2 best, clearly 2 of the 3 best in New England. I mean, I think it's unimpeachable.
uh,
Yeah, I
yeah,
think I got a chance to speak to Tommy for the podcast, last episode, and I think that the thing about Tommy is that he's one of the most mysterious players like that New England's had in recent times. Mainly because like nobody really knew him before he came like to Connecticut for school, And it's not like he's like going out there, talking to all these people and everything. He does his own thing. He does his best at tournaments, and that's what got him here. And I got a chance to learn, a little bit about like his perspective and his philosophy about competing. And he doesn't go to a lot of tournaments, but he talked about how when he does go to tournaments, he treats it like it's like a sporting event for him. Like he goes there, like if you're like a D1 competitor and you're going to travel, like that's kind of how he treats it. He studies, he prepares. He does not go to a tournament unless he thinks that he is fully prepared for everything that's coming against him. And I think it's a culture shift a lot of times in comparison from maybe some other players who go to a ton of stuff, which, that's also fine. There's a lot of benefits to that. But the thing about Tommy is he takes it so seriously, and he tries his damn best at every single he takes every single competitor seriously, no matter if it's their round one opponent or his like late in grand finals against Calvar. He's prepared. And I think that Tommy and Nariel, we just talked about it, like they are the culture shift that they're leading it, for everybody else. And this is just, it's so important. So Tommy, just amazing player, very, very impressive.
Yeah. I think the thing that I, adore most about him as a player is just that he cares. I mean, I think like that's how these kind of culture shifts happen is like people who care, that love the game and love competing and take it seriously and put 100% of themselves into it. I think that, I've talked a lot and I'm guilty of this at times myself. I think that there's in competitive gaming in general, kind of an epidemic of like aloofishness, like it's cool to not care, it's cool to not try, it's cool to sandbag. And I think people like Tommy defeating that premise, and I mean, clearly he is, right? He's top 3 in the region, like seemingly out of nowhere. We know it's not out of nowhere, but seemingly out of nowhere. I think meteoric rises like that happen because you care and because you invest yourself into it. And I just think that that's like rewarding that and putting that on the pedestal is what we should aim to do. So I think that him being number 3 is the best thing for the region. I love it. And
do you want to take number 4?
Yeah, I'll take number 4.
Okay.
Number 4, a bit more of kind of a mainstay in terms of like the high end of the PR, somebody who's been like one of the most consistent players in region for a couple of years now. Speaking of like, this idea of like doesn't get upset much, does really well in the local region. Number 4 is Ember, who's number 2 in New Hampshire. So congrats to Ember for number 4. A good friend of mine, obviously. I'm super tight with all the New Hampshire people, as is G-Town. And Ember, I mean, I feel like we've kind of said a lot that there is to say about Ember in terms of the notable records. She beat Calvar 6 times, like that, losing record head to head because they played so much. 6-10 was their record, but you beat Calvar 6 times in a period. I mean, that's kind of mind boggling in and of itself. Winning record on Bonfire 10 of 5-2, has an out-of-region win on Bab, an even record with me, an 11-6 winning record on Golden, 1-0 on Arn, 1-0 on Artie, 1-0 on Evening Star, and has a Tommy win. I think that they're 1-1. Is that accurate?
Oh, maybe not this season.
Oh, okay. My fault.
Yeah. No, you're good.
So really solid winning records. Does well in state in New Hampshire. Does really consistently at regionals. And the other thing that I think is worth noting about Ember is placements. Like we talk so much about head-to-heads and wins, but when it comes to just going to a monthly and doing well, Ember is one of the players that like you could safely bet like Ember will get 5th at worst at like almost every single event during a ranking period. Just something about the way she plays, something about how consistent her matchup spread is. She can 0 to death spacies, she can play slow against the floaties. She is lethal in the Ditto. She destroys Falcon because she plays with Golden so much. She handles all the low tiers and weird characters really well. Like, just something about her constitution as a player and as a competitor. She is just, like, impenetrably going to be top 5 at almost every regional. So one of the most consistent players in region. I absolutely adore her. Congrats on 4th to Ember. I'll pass it off to you guys.
Yeah, I think that Ember is... she's just awesome, and I'm just a fan. I'm a fan of Ember. I've been a fan of Ember since like I started really competing hard in like 2021, and I think what's really cool about her is that if you ever watch discussions, this was probably prior to Nariel and Tommy, especially, really making waves. But even to this day, like you'll see Bailey, like big stats heads outside of New England, when they talk about like players to watch out for that may be traveling outside of New England, that are like these tough hidden bosses to watch out for. Ember's name is the one that always comes up. And I think that it's really interesting because she's what makes her so scary is that she is a player that really cares about being optimized, like does her best. And I think that it's interesting, in the last few years when you see, no offense to Bonfire and Calvar, not necessarily the most optimized players in the world, do so well. Ember is kind of a difference in the status quo of a player from this region that's dominated by like some abnormal. We got Bowser's, we got Kirby's, we got all these things. You have a player that's optimized like Ember to watch out for, that goes for the hard tech chases, that goes for the fair on the tech chase, watches Jmook and try to copy him or something like that, right? I think that's what makes her so scary, and it's just really cool to have a player like that. So definitely congratulations to Ember. Tom, do you have anything
And
to
I was gonna just briefly mention uh, her, like Ember's wins are like really solid, and she also had some heartbreaking near misses at Collision. I think if I remember right, she lost game 5 to Spark and Zanya, if I remember correctly, who are both like like top like 50 players. That opens an interesting question. If she had more opportunities against some of these higher level players out of region, how would she do? It's
Yeah.
hard to say.
I think it's a fair
add?
question. And I think, kind of like I was saying earlier, it's something about the way that she plays. I think she just has that ability to punch up, but it doesn't even really feel like punching up. I mean, right? Like she has an ability to just break people down regardless of if they're considered better or not better than her. And I just feel like she is like the picture of consistency. I feel like she plays the same game against everybody. If she's sitting next to, Spark, or if she's sitting next to Tori, or if she's sitting next to, whatever Sheik she's playing in round 2. I just feel like she's a paragon of consistency both in and out of the game. So I got nothing but respect for him. Gent, you want to take number 5?
I will. I will happily take number 5. So number 5 for the new, again, this entire order, like this like tier of players is so difficult to rank just in general. There was so many discussions about where everybody would be. So it's just so close, okay? But
Yeah.
number 5 for the summer 2020 PR ended up going to Bonfire 10 Tori. She did amazing this season, and even though that this is probably like a lower, like I think amongst the past few years, it's a lower rank for her. She's still just been so impressive. I think the thing that impresses me, the way I can describe Tori and just in general, is she's kind of like, when you ask like really smart people to, and Glock knows about this. When we ask like really smart people to describe like, I don't know, a math equation or something, and like they just are terrible at explaining it. They're just terrible at teaching it. But like they're this just like genius at their craft. That's what I would describe Tori. Like she is just a melee genius that like is very bad at explaining things sometimes,
Yep.
and doesn't seem like it from like when just normal discussions with her about melee. But once you get into it and once you just see her play, it's just like she hits every DI on all Fox's up throws. She's always ready for smash DI. Her recoveries and her edge guards are like clockwork, right? It's this player that like if you showed her any one situation and you asked her to pick the best option, she probably would pick it most of the time, and you'd be probably pretty surprised. She'd probably come up with something that you were like, wait, that doesn't make any sense, but it works. And like you see her Twitter, she always comes up with like new types of defense, from like the tech on the sheet killer that she called, the tech on the ledge. Like she's just this melee mind, I think. And again, even though this was not as strong of a season for her, she's just been as impressive as ever. I'll just shout out her record on me, which is like 10-2 on me. Is just like I usually do much better against her, and she just absolutely wrecked me this season. And yeah, it's just like so impressive, just in general. So congrats to Tori for number 5.
Yeah, and I can briefly mention this. I mean, she got a decent chunk of other wins. Like the 1-1 record on Tommy Solid. You know, 2 on SE. It's hard to evaluate like what that means right now, but it's still something. 1-0 on DZ, 1-0 on Silent. And then a bunch of wins or winning records on most of the people that she's ranked above for the most part, with some exceptions here and there. And the other thing too is that like, if I look at her attendance, like it isn't as crazy as it has been in the past. She went to, let's see, 29 tournaments, but 29 tournaments over, what is it, 6 months is still a pretty good number. That's like what, almost 5 a month.
Yeah.
And she's out here, and I do think that if you look at her losses, like her consistency, she just does not lose like to like non-PR level players. You know, you just look at the list. It's just like, my God, like if you want to beat Bonfire 10, you essentially have to be like a top 100 player or like somebody who is like top 10 level in the region.
Yeah.
If you want to beat her, you have to be at least this tall. I guess
Yes.
the
Yes.
the
Yeah.
best way to do it.
I think, I obviously love Tori. I'm super biased towards her. I am one of the biggest Tori believers ever. Totally echoing what Gent said. She's a mad genius of this game that like invented her own language and is the only one who knows how to speak it. Like that's the best way I can describe it. She is such a genius and so smart, but so like you would never know it until you play against her kind of thing. Like if you watch Tori play, you might think like, wow, she does a lot of stupid shit. Like nothing she's doing makes sense. But then you play against her and you get mopped. The last thing I wanted to say on Tori, and just something that I find really, really impressive is her ability to patch up her weaknesses. Like she, for a long time, had a handful of matchups that were just like brutal for her. And they were her true downsides where like it almost felt like bracket luck where she would go to regionals and if she ran into certain things or certain people, it would come apart quick. And like the biggest one has always for her been Fox. Like she's always had Fox problems forever and ever, like for years. And I mean, not to dogpile on you, Kent, but 10-2 on you is, I mean, you're arguably the best Fox in region, and that just says it all, right? So I just think that her ability to patch up her weaknesses and evolve, despite she's been playing for over 10 years. She's super active. Like you said, she goes to a lot of tournaments. This was a lower activity period for her, and she was still going to 5 tournaments a month, and she's still evolving and getting better. So endlessly impressed by her. Congrats to Tori for 5th. G-Town, you want to take us into number 6 here?
Gladly. So number 6, I mean, you could argue like pretty reasonably that this player should have been higher, but I think overall, for the record that was there, I think that this placement makes a reasonable amount of sense. Number 6 goes to Edoporp. Congrats to Edoporp on getting a personal best. This is by far the best ranking that he's ever gotten, and the best for a mainer in a very, very long time. If I look over a lot of Porp stuff, I mean the highlight. Let's not be around the bush here. The highlight was that run at Mass Madness, where he goes on to win the tournament, and like. Let's see. And at that tournament, let's see. I have to pull this up here. So he goes in there and he was seeded, I think, like 7th or something. He hasn't really at that point he hadn't really like he had that great final warning run, but it was an interesting thing where it's like, well, now that he's out in mass, like what are we gonna see from this guy? And what we saw was a pretty damn good performance. There's no question about it. So at MM51, he beats Green Stash to get to quarters, and then he beats Bonfire 10 to get to more semis. Then again, he beats even more semis. Then he gets to, and then he gets to Warren's finals against Calvar, beats him, gets reset by Nariel, and then ends up beating Nariel to win the tournament. And I would just say, for somebody that lives as far out as he does, like what he has done is extremely impressive. When you don't have, like such easy access to tournaments all the time, like Northern Maine is like 3.5, 4 hours or something. From the Game Underground venue, it's a long haul to make. And I definitely say that this general area, like you could definitely have argued him higher, but I do definitely think without a doubt that he's a phenomenal player, and he's definitely representing main melee very well here, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think just the only thing I'll say on the matter is you said the highlight is obviously Mass Madness where he won, but he also got 3rd at All-Star that was like even more stacked. Like there were even more PR players in attendance at that tournament, and he got third and got a bunch of good wins there too. So like it's not like this dude was just like a one tournament, like he had this one crazy run and is getting carried by that. Like no. I mean, he is still compared to other people around this range very low on activity and low on appearances at these kind of big tournaments, but it wasn't just that he had one really good showing. I mean, he had two monthlies where he went, one of them he just straight up won, and another one that was equally or more stacked, he got third and could have he was in position to potentially win the tournament. Like it's just it's more than just one good showing or a handful of wins. Like this dude put together a legit resume, and that's why he moved up as much as he did. Anyway, Kent, go ahead.
No, yeah, I think that, man, there's so much I could talk about with Eduport. I think, as someone I just love New England so much. I say it a lot about, these players being some of my favorite players. I think Porp has to be like a top 2 or top 3 favorite player in New England. Or maybe in Melee. Like he is just that fun to watch and to play against. If you've never played against him, I hope you do because he's so fun to play against too. And it's just I'm just such a fan. And the other thing is that, forget the gameplay because we can talk so much about it. I think that he is just a role model and such a great role model and such a great leader for main melee. I was just checking my I was one of the few people that got picked in the Discord thing to get like the Discord Wrapped, like kind of like YouTube Wrapped or whatever. And my most active server was main melee. And if you're not in there, get in there. It's an amazing server. Part of the reason why I'm so active in that server is because of EduPorp. He is just kind of beacon of just like a fun, curious, helpful, ambitious kind of person in Maine, all jumbled into this one just amazing Falcon player. And he helps all the people in Maine all the time. He's an amazing teacher. And it's just so cool to see him succeed and get to this height. Like, I know you're watching Porp. Like, seriously, seriously well done, dude. It's just so cool to see. And I think that the other thing I'll mention about Porp for his gameplay, real quick, is that he plays unlike any other Falcon you'll ever play against. I actually think my hot take for today might be that EduPorp's like Falcon play, EduPorp will kind of lead Falcon to a new era. I really do think so. If he can get out to majors, I do think so. I don't see any other Falcon genuinely doing the things that he does, and I think that he will lead a new kind of Falcon player to melee and main if he can get out to more tournaments. So congratulations, Porp. Seriously deserved, and well done to you, my man.
Oh yeah. So it's my turn to announce number 7 on this new PR. And I'm sorry, G-Town, I'm sorry again. I'm going to break the rules a little bit because number 7 and number 8 on our upcoming PR are both on this podcast. And I think, it's one of those things we talk about how like players, when you're balloting or when you're thinking about the PR, you kind of separate them into tiers. Like I think on this PR, David was a pretty clear cut number 1. I think 2 and 3 was a super debate. I think 4, 5, and 6 could have gone basically in any order, as we've talked about. And I think 7 and 8 was really tight. And obviously, it's between myself and Electroman for 7 and 8. And I will announce that number 7 on the next PR is Ghent. It is Electroman. So congratulations to you, obviously. I think that you put together some insane stuff this period. I mean, you had a winning record on me, so I certainly can't be mad that you're ranked above me. If I was 2-0 on you or something and you were above me, I might be a little miffed, but there's nobody I'd rather have eclipse me. I'm super impressed by you. Obviously, a student of the game, a thinker, a leader for our community, which is great. But I'm gonna stick in the game and just say, I mean, you were talking about like this idea of like having a highlight in your resume. You won a monthly over Calvar, right? Like that in and of itself. I mean, that is how many people can say that they've done that this ranking period? Like 4 or 5. That's a really exclusive club to be in. So I don't know. I won't, sit here and glaze you too much, but I love you. I love you. I'm super impressed by you. And yeah, so Gent's number 7, and spoiler alert, I'm number 8. So we can just talk about both of us. I'll talk about you. You guys can talk about Gent, talk about me, whatever. I'm passing it off.
Yeah, I'll quickly just say before I glaze Nick, I'll quickly just say this is the same ranking I got last season too. But despite that, I think a lot of people they kind of see melee years in this linear way, I suppose. And like when you have rankings, I think it can be very easy to be like, well, you didn't go any higher. Like, are you a better player? I can say definitively about myself, like despite being the same ranking as last year, I am like a 10 times way better player than I was last year. And it's things like the run at Fotai Big Mode and being able to just like go across the region and do well, do better in some of my worst matchups. And also, my David record this season was better than it's ever been. Like in the past, I've gotten set wins, but I mean, when you get 2 wins out of 20 sets, it's not like anything special, you know. But I actually did pretty solid this season, which I'm proud of that. So, yeah. But I want to glaze Nick a little bit. I think that Nick is probably my favorite player in New England. I think I have to say it. I'm sorry to everybody else. I have to say Nick is maybe it's because he's also a Fox player. So he gets that love too. I love his Fox too.
Man, for
But
whatever it's worth, I'm also my favorite player in New England. So
okay, well, I would hope so. I would hope so. Yeah. So Nick's definitely my favorite New England player. If I had to pick one person to just kill it at any one major, I probably would pick Nick to do very well. His records this season, honestly, stronger than even despite like we talked about your Mass Madness season and all that. I think this season has still been very very impressive. Like 1-0 on Nariel, the number 2 player, 1-0 on Glitch, one of the best players from NYC, and 1-1 with Bonfire, which is not something that many Fox players can say. So I think you've just done very well for yourself. I appreciate you being so helpful, both for myself and the rest of the community, doing this podcast with me as well. So congratulations, Nick.
take it away, G Town. What do you think about us? We've talked about us
Yeah.
enough.
Well, you two had when it came to voting, you two were tight as a tick. About as close as it actually could have possibly been. Congrats on getting the good end of it, Gant. um, I think, I think, I think it's definitely something that I've observed is like if you want to go up the PR, right, like you got to be able to get wins against the best players, and Gent, you were definitely able to do that at a pretty good clip. And obviously, Nick, you were able to do that pretty well too, from what I gather. And that certainly didn't make it very easy to distinguish between the two of you. That's for sure. But I think the fact that the two of you are 7 and 8 is it makes a lot of sense, and I think it speaks to how tough it is to get into the top 6 here. Like this is a pretty strong group of players that you're trying to break through here.
Yeah,
No
and I
doubt.
think that the last thing I'll say on 7 and 8 here is that I think it's especially telling that like, and no diss to myself or to Gent obviously, but I think like 7 and 8 was a considerable step down from that 4, 5, 6 range. Like I think it was a pretty defined divide. As good as I think Gent is, and as good as I obviously think I am at the game, like I think it was a pretty distinct divide, which speaks to what you were just saying, G Town.
Yeah.
Only other thing I'll say about about myself, I don't really like talking about myself, but I feel like this period was one where I was kind of uncharacteristically inactive. I basically took like 2 months off in the middle of the PR period. I kind of did all my heavy lifting at the very start and then coasted. So I'm obviously thrilled that I could still get 8th, even only really being active for like half or just over half of the ranking period. I mean, I still hit a decent number of tournaments. I think like 22 or something like that. But it was definitely lower activity as far as it normally is. So I'm stoked with 8th. I'm
But watch out though. Like
obviously
I think
fucking pissed that I'm 1 vote back of Ghent, but it is what it is.
hey, look, you held the season before this that you were higher than me. No, it was 2 seasons ago. You were like 1 spot ahead of me. I think I was 9 and you were 8. You
Yeah,
held that over me that whole season, bro.
yeah, yeah.
But one thing I just want to say is that it's just really cool to see like your passion for the game. I think it's and I think that if people are um, I know people take you as this amazing Game & Watch player, but do not like y'all cannot sleep on this Fox player. Okay, I swear to God, like Nick's Fox is getting so good so fast. If you have not played this Fox player this winter, yo, just watch out. Just watch out. Trust me. Whoo, the waves are coming. The waves are coming. So yeah.
All right, G Town, you want to take number 9 because me and Ghent just had our little mini
Yes,
episode.
yes. So within the context of the PR, we were talking about tiers, right? There was definitely like a kind of a cutoff after 6, and I would say that, I would say that 7 and 8 were their own tier, and I think that the next two players kind of ending up in a tier is very fitting, and the person who has managed to secure ninth on this PR is Regex. And I will definitely, and what can I really say? I mean, the Beast of Boston, letting it roar this season. Not too bad. I remember there was a point, especially early in the season, where he had a pretty good streak going against Bonfire. Uh, he ended up with, let's see, he ended up with a 4-8 record, which, that isn't too bad. Considering like at what point in the PR we're, talking about. I'm sure he would like it to be better. um, but if I look at some of the other stuff he had, let's see. Oh yes, oh yeah. He also had wins uh, on a bunch of good players that either don't attend very many tournaments or are average. And Blesse, Apollo, Essie went 2-5 against Glitch, which is like it's still got a couple wins there. And then let's see. Oh yeah, also 6-2 against Green Stash. 1-0 on Tommy, 1-1 with Denver, and 12-0 against Saucy Man. Oh
Holy
gosh.
moly.
Adding that record on the end is wild, actually,
Oh, man.
Loki. Ben, I'm sorry if you're watching.
It's I mean, hey, I think it's impressive that he was able to do it.
Yeah. I mean,
I think
we talk about people who care. I think Regex is another great example of somebody who's clearly putting a lot of himself into the game, attends a ton. I mean, he fucking rides a bike to the Boston local every week.
He does.
Or almost every week. Like he is fully impassioned and fully dedicated to the game. 4 wins on Bonfire in any ranking period is a lot of wins. I don't care how many times you play against her. I kind of feel the same way about a Calvar in that regard. Like people will say like, oh yeah, I'm 4-10 against Calvar. It's like, bro, you beat Calvar 4 times. Like you beat Bonfire 4 times. That's a big deal, right? 1-0 on Tommy. Obviously, we know Tommy's top 3 now. Like that win is as good as gold. 1-1 with Ember, so has shown that ability to punch up. And also, I mean, the 12-0, I'll keep highlighting it. 12-0 on Saucy Mane is proof positive of this ability to kind of dominate his Massachusetts peers. I mean, I feel like almost everybody in Massachusetts, except Gen, who's the only Massachusetts person ranked higher than Regex, he kind of handles everybody else in Massachusetts on a regular basis. So I think that matters. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, Noah, I know you're watching, dog. I'm just, I love this guy. I think that over time, like obviously Noah and I have played a lot throughout the years, but like I wasn't super like, I didn't really know him very well or wasn't super close to him until like very recently when we started just like either like I remember when we went to unranked, we hung out a little bit there together because like we were the two. Oh, and Oz as well from Massachusetts players and New England in general. And we've just kind of been able to get a little closer. And I've just seen the grind. Like it's just super cool to be a competitor peer alongside him, and especially Massachusetts representing Massachusetts. We're 2 of the 3 Musketeers. I also consider Devin in there with the 2 of us, where we try and represent Mass as best we can. And Noah does a very good job of that. Like, especially, I don't know, he just does, especially with like, I don't know, he has this kind of thing about him. I feel this kind of aura, I suppose. Regex Fortnite, right, and all these memes and everything. There's a certain aura around him when he goes and travels. When you have to play him in bracket, that he's just gonna like absolutely destroy you or flex on you, or some meme is, or Isaac the Arbiter is gonna throw something in the chat about like something about Regex or something. So it's just really cool to see him do very well, and just a super fun person, and happy to be representing Massachusetts with you, my man. Good stuff.
I gotta jump in here and take 10 because I'm spoiling it immediately by saying this, but number 10 is one of my favorite people on planet Earth. It's Golden. Number 10's Golden. I'm stoked to see Golden back in the top 10 because he is somebody that like the in the know have always known how good Golden is. He obviously switched to the contraption controller, the half GameCube controller, half box abomination. And it has leveled him up. It has opened up some things to him that he has previously been unable to do as somebody who plays with him all the time, both in bracket and otherwise. And he he just beats up on New Hampshire, right? Like he gets wins in New Hampshire. He is 4-9 with Calvar, 6-11 with Ember, 2-4 against Bonfire, 2-4 against me. I mean, that's a combined what, 14-28 if my math is correct, against the top 4 players in New Hampshire. That's huge. 14 wins against players of that high caliber is a massive deal. I mean, I could go on. He also just dominates at all the locals he goes to. He goes to Fotai, and if you ever see him lose to anybody not named Tori or David or Nick, I'd be shocked. Or Ember, right? Like he goes to Fotai, and those are the only people he loses to, and he beats them too a lot of the time. He's absolutely nasty at the game. Now that he's fully ingrained on the contraption, I will be completely candid and say I'm fucking terrified of him in general and of what can come next, and where he goes from here. It scares me. The only other thing that I'll put out there before I pass the mic to other people is that this also means New Hampshire has 5 out of the top 10. So that's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. So anyway, you guys can have it.
Yeah, I think that what's really cool about Jack, I think, is that I just somehow he finds a way every other season to just like destroy people. I swear, if you go back and watch or look at any of his resumes or look at like old PRs and stuff, it feels like he has like on and off seasons. Like he just like flips a switch and just decides like, okay, I'm coming back. I'm just gonna start wrecking everybody. I just think it's so funny because it's just you can never sleep on the guy. Like he's always ready to play you. I love playing him in bracket. I wish that he would net play more because I would love to play him. Jack, if you're watching, please take my net play request. I just want to play you, dog. He's so fun to play against. Also, one of the few people that I think like can when you're playing friendlies with him, he like gasses you up or if something cool happens, and if he does something lame, he hates it when it happens if it succeeds, which is very few people play like that, and it's very fun to play friendlies with him for that reason. So it's really cool to see him do very well. It's cool to see him back. I really hope he continues the grind and continues and keeps moving forward. Don't have an off season. I want to see the golden era continue and push even further. So congratulations, Jack. Well done.
Yeah, and I'll briefly mention this. It's like, if we look, if I think about, if I think about where Golden's been in the past, like there was a point before he switched off of, before he switched to the contraption where he was like pushing top five, three, whatever, and he was doing like phenomenally well at one point. Like, and then after the switch, things ended up getting weird for him, and and the results weren't quite there as much as they were. But I don't think anybody doubts how good this guy is.
Also, we'll just say I don't know if this is true. I hate speaking for other people, but I have to speak for somebody else in this regard. That I think he can correct me if he sees this and feels like doing so. I think that if you metaphorically, theoretically, put a gun to Calvar's head and say, "Who are you most scared of playing? $1 million on the line, your life on the line." I think he might say Gold. I think he might. It's just like an 8-year history of him and Golden having fucking battles. Golden's one of the only people who, literally in the history of New England, has always been able to beat David. Like in any given set, at any given tournament, at any level, whether it's a local, a regional, a monthly, or a major. Like I think that he just has something that I don't know. I could go on, but I won't. Who wants to take number 11? I just did 10, so it's not me.
I'll take it. So number 11 is I always call him my partner in crime because I really do think so. We've traveled to so many tournaments outside of Massachusetts regularly. He's been just an awesome partner in crime to have when we're competing. Number 11 is Green Stash, the Luigi player from Massachusetts. So congratulations to Devin. Very well done. This season, Devin has found a way to be even more impressive with Luigi. It is not easy to do. Even look, okay, we have Rat Monster. I give credit to Rat Monster. He does a very good job. But sometimes the stuff that he does is just unreal. Like it's just hard to replicate some of that stuff. And I think if you're a Luigi player, sometimes you might feel the same way. I think Green Stash gets damn close sometimes to replicating some of that stuff. This season, he was able to go to a few majors out of region. I know he went to Genesis the season before, but this season he was able to go to Gommel and he was able to go to Collision as well. And at Collision, he had his best run like to date, where he beat Rishi. And look, it wasn't a close set. Like he handily beat Rishi in a 3-1 set. And it's all that Calvar practice, all the Marth practice, you know. And he also beat Daniel at that tournament as well. Such an impressive player. I love talking to him about Melee. In our car rides, we have like some of the most deepest discussions about Melee that you'll ever have. About, you know, whether it's gameplay, mentality, all this kind of stuff. He's super fun to play against, super fun to watch. Also a very like emotive player as well. I think that makes it very fun to compete alongside, because it shows that he cares and also is willing to have some fun too in the middle of it. And so very well done to Greenset. Just such a damage dealer in bracket. I swear to God. So watch out for this guy. If he goes to more tournaments, just watch out. Y'all, everybody knows here how good he is. So congratulations, Devin, for number 11.
And I guess I can hop in real quick and just say like that this guy also out here 39 tournaments over 39 in-region tournaments over the course of 6 months. That's a pretty impressive number, and that's not counting, you know, like the average and stuff that he ended up going to as well. You know, he collected a decent number of good wins. You know, as you know mentioned earlier, you know, got a win at Bitbar or one Bitbar over Calvar. Got a win on Tommy. Um, beat Project at All Stars. Just just in general, one of the most patient players that I've ever seen. I remember I remember very distinctly, you know, him and Daniel, both of them just at the end of game 5 at Collision, just waiting for the other to blink. It was like the ending sequence of that set in particular. If you haven't seen it, go back and find it. It's absolutely insane what was happening there, and he ended up managing to take it down. So nothing but respect for him and all that he's done for the state of Massachusetts.
Yeah, and you know, last thing I'll kind of tack on to the end is he also hosts a tournament now. Like the Bit Bar, like you mentioned, the tournament that he ran, that he won over David. He also runs. He created that tournament. So you know, I always talk a lot about how I appreciate when people care and when they give back and when they're, you know, a real part of the community and give back to the community. And he is doing that. I just think the biggest compliment I can give to Devin is that I haven't known him that long, and I feel like I have. I feel like he's been around forever, even though he hasn't. At least in my sphere, he hasn't been around that long. He has that feel to him. So I love him. I'm stoked to see him at 11th on the PR. Great season, and the day that this dude becomes like truly capital C consistent, like some of the people we talk about on the top end, like the Embers and the Bonfires of the world, watch out, because I mean we all know how high he can punch. So. Anyway, Tom, you want to take number 12 here?
Yes, I can do it. So now we get to a player that had a few pretty good wins, I'd say, a few decent ones. So number 12 on the summer 2025 PR is Arn255, and it's not hard to see why he was able to get it, and why he was able to get number 3 Connecticut. You know, you go over, you just look at over like some of these pretty impressive out of region wins. You know, beating Mop Money, you know, who's a perennial top 100 player. You know, beating Daniel at a big tournament. You know, and 16-10 on RD, like doing a lot of work down in the state of Connecticut. You know, he also had about roughly even record with Slox. Generally beat the people that generally beats the non-PR players. One on again, I just look at all of this, and it's a resume that is not short on wins. You know, there's no doubt about it. A lot of them, you know, granted, a lot of them, you know, they come more against average players in many cases, but I don't think that anybody doubts that this guy's a solid player. And I think that if he continues to get reps in against, you know, the top dogs of the region, especially, you know, up against the top of Massachusetts and New Hampshire, I think he's only going to get better. He's a fine player, and I think we're all very curious to see what's next for a guy.
Yeah, Arn is the type of player. He gives me like Ember vibes from like a couple years ago, where he's like he just like is this very optimized Marth player. You don't watch him and you don't think he's like I feel like if you play against him or you watch him play against other great players, you don't ever think that he's like he's taking things for free or he's trying to be lazy. In fact, like if you ever actually watch the player cam, especially at Hog, if something happens and he takes the stock or gets a lot of percent or a combo or something like that, or takes even a set or a win, like a game win, and he doesn't feel like he deserves it, he's like almost always shaking his head, which I know is like something that sometimes people do as like a meme or whatever, but with him, like it is genuinely like I talked to the guy, I've seen him play. He cares so much about just playing good melee and being as optimized as he can be. He's a student of ePoodle as well, who is a similar, I think, despite all the jokes and everything, ePoodle is a similar kind of player to that. So I'm sure he's getting those vibes from him as well, his coach. And it's just really cool to see him put like the grind in. I mean, he's become one of my practice partners recently. We're just playing more and more often. Every time I play against him, I just feel like he's like trying to be Zane Jr., which a lot of other Marth players maybe don't try and do, or they get lazy or whatever. So not a player that gets lazy very easily. I think as a Marth player, it can be very, I think it can end up being very lazy sometimes. But he doesn't. He tries to do his best, play good melee, and he does that. And he owns a lot of people because of it. So congratulations, Arn, number 12.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have too much to say on Arn. I remember I talked a lot the last ranking PR that we did 6 months ago. I'm super impressed by him. I mean, I think one of the most impressive things is his ability to win in all kinds of different matchups. Like one of the most common things you see specifically with the character he plays, Marth, is they're really good at some matchups, they're really bad at others, right? Some Marths are kind of the prototypical like Spacey Slayer. Some Marths take more like closer to like the Calvar side of things where they excel more naturally against floaties and like slowing it down and playing more of that spacing game. And it feels like no matter what matchup you feed him, he kind of cuts the same way, which I think is one of those things that like if you're like that early on, which I mean it's weird to say early on when he's on the regional PR, but when you have that ability, at this point in your career, that helps you reach heights that you wouldn't be able to reach otherwise, right? Growing as a well-rounded player is just like invaluable. So I think that the sky's the limit for him. I think we all kind of know how good he is. With that, I'll move us into number 13. Um, because it's a bit of a blast from the past. Number 13 is Slox, also from Connecticut, a familiar name to anybody who's been around New England. Historically speaking, he is previously top 3 multiple times over, top 2 multiple times over. One of New England's true old guard. Stepped away for a while, for probably what 3 years, 4 years, following COVID. And he came back and he instantly started getting some good wins again, just in terms of his notable records. I mean, he's 1-0 on Bonfire, 1-0 on Ember, both of the Sheiks of New Hampshire down 1-0 against him, 1-0 on Electroman, 1-1 with me, 1-0 on Greenstash, 4-3 against Arn, who we were just talking about. He has a winning record on him, 1-0 on Conflict, 1-0 on Saucy Main, right? Like he may not be exactly what he was, years ago, but that's not really a fair standard, right? Not only because he took so much time away, but also because the game and the scene have changed so much. So I think rather than looking at it as like he's a shell of what he used to be, I think that's dishonest. I think I choose to look at it more as his ability to be where he is despite the circumstances, and his ability to come back and instantly be on the ranking at all again is like endlessly impressive. And I think his playstyle reflects it too. I think at least when I play against him, it doesn't feel like I'm playing against a 2025 Fox. It feels like there's a lot of kind of twinges of older playstyles and like the very true like outplay the opponent, don't outplay the situation kind of thing. Like I don't know. I have a ton of respect for the way he plays the game. I hope he continues to play the game. I hope he continues to attend, because I think he's a super impressive player, and it's just really cool to see him on the PR again.
Yeah, Slox is as a Fox player, it's just so cool to see him back. I remember when I first started like paying attention to doing a melee back in like 2018, 2019 seriously, Slox was obviously all over the place because he had gotten top 100 multiple times and was putting up really good results. And obviously with as a Fox player myself, I got to see that and be like, okay, this is just like it's just super cool to have a Fox player out there that's trying to do their best for New England, do his best for the region, and for him to come back and just be able to just show us like, oh, I still got it and I can do it. And I think that despite being number 13 or whatever, I earnestly like there's nothing can stop him from becoming the best if he wanted to be. Like I think any of these players can do that. I think if you were to say like, oh, he's stuck in his old ways, he's stuck in back in 2019, he can't do it anymore, or whatever. Like I think you're just incorrect. Like a player like that that's been number one before, that's dominated the region before, can make it to any height. And as a Fox player myself, it's cool to see another, especially because look, okay, no offense to my fellow Fox players, okay, some of the people out here they just stopped playing, man, and so it's really cool to see Slux be like, you know what, I'm gonna come back and go through the gauntlet of the Bowsers, the Ganondorfs, the Peaches, right, and still lock in and try and do his best. So I hope keeps entering. Really cool to see him back, and yeah, I also want to get more sets with him. So Tom, you make that happen, bro.
Well, I can't do it for much longer. I hate to break it to you, but but to get back to it, it's if I look at it, I mean, he attended 10 tournaments over the course of the season, and at one of those tournaments, he goes through, a gauntlet defeating, Saucy Main, Ghent, Bonfire 10 and Ember before, losing to Tommy in grand finals. Like, there's still, it's still there. He's still got something in the tank at this point. There's definitely some optimizations that he can make to his play to better manage the 2025 meta. But I don't. But he's the greatest Connecticut Melee player of all time. Like, he's the best that the state ever had. And I think that I think if he's putting in that time, away from events and and grinding, he can he could get back up to that top 5-3 level, like without a doubt. I don't think I don't think anybody that knows him would question that in the slightest. And whatever comes next for him, I'm very interested to see it. And I think we all are.
Yeah, it's also just the last thing I'll say. Also, just kind of a cool bit of like, I don't want to say closure because that makes it feel so final, but just like a cool full circle thing for Connecticut. Because something that me and Gent have talked about in both the ranking podcasts and our other podcasts is that Connecticut right now is like the up and coming region. Like Connecticut is full of these players. I mean, as we've said, like who was before Slox on the PR? It was Arn, who was before, or, there's a lot of Connecticut on the PR. Nariel's up there, Tommy's up there, Arn's up here, Slox is up here. Connecticut is like a region of growers. It's an up and coming region, and the fact that Slox is able to come back, as G-Town said, like the greatest Connecticut player of all time, and come back and not only still hold down some level of dominance, but I don't know. I'm phrasing it really poorly. It's just a really cool thing for Connecticut, like this region of youngsters and upstarts, and it's just like, oh, and Slox is still nasty like that. I just think it's a cool thing. Anyway,
watching him play Tommy at Mass Madness 50, it was the first one. So 53 was his first
53,
one?
yeah.
53 grand finals. It was definitely like okay, I'm not gonna lie, Slox Loki like just absolutely threw that set. But still, it was poetic, at least the winners final set was a little poetic, about Tommy, this up and coming Connecticut player having to get through the old guard to win the tournament. It was definitely a little poetic despite the way the tournament ended, but yeah, so it's just super cool to see him back.
All right,
Tom,
G10. Yeah, I was gonna say G10. You want to take 14?
Yes. So number 14 is a player that I think that, I mean, come on, if you've been around New England Melee, you're familiar with this player. Uh, Number 14 is Artie, and it's an easy 14 for him. There's like a solid dividing line between like the top 14 players and the players after. Um, and his records are really good. I mean, he had let's see, it's a 2-3 record with Nariel, 3 on Glock, 2 on Regex, 3-1 against Green Stash, 4 on Slox, 6-1 on Conflict, 1-0 against Heavenly Sunflower. Like it, in addition to having a bunch of wins in Connecticut, a variety of different players, not mentioned there. I mean, what can you really say about this guy? I mean, he's the pillar of Connecticut Melee. Like this is the guy that's held it down over there. The RFOF Gaming, the guy that's kept the weeklies going, week after week after week. And he's done an impressive amount for his state, more so than like more so than almost anybody out there that I could think of. And he gets 14, which like you could look at that and say like, oh, 14, like he could definitely be higher than that. But I also think that this season in particular was really, really difficult. A lot of hitters there are a lot of hitters out here coming from a variety of different places. Um, but I don't think anybody has any doubt that Artie can play with the best players here. No
Absolutely.
doubt about it.
Yeah, Artie. I think I always mention it when I talk about him, but it's just like it is a definitely a passion thing for me to have another fellow Albanian person do so well. And it's just like I don't know, it's just a big deal to see just like that kind of thing. Because anytime we see each other, we always like speaking a little Albanian to each other. It's just like really cool. I have some like just passion in my heart to see him do so well. And this season especially, like one of the things that was not talked about enough, I think, is that he won two monthlies this season over other New England PR players. He won one over Nick and also one over Greenstash as well. And like, I mean, winning monthlies in general is not easy to do, but already doing it, and in the manner that he does it too. Like, this is a player that takes regular drug fox lessons. That is another one of the like of this like group of players. Really tries to be as optimized as possible. Anytime you talk about the game to him or see him play, it's just so obvious that's how he treats his play. He's also a teacher. Like in terms of melee, he has plenty of students. He helps people all the time with melee, especially in Connecticut. Like I think people view him as this like role model and this person to just learn from so much. And again, as a leader and everything like that, and his gameplay, it's just super cool to see him do so well. So, Artie, congratulations, my man. Good stuff on number 14.
Yeah, he's almost one of those people that like actually playing and competing almost like when you think about Artie feels like his side hustle because, he owns Hog, he mentors so many people, he's a student and a teacher of the game. Right. So you almost forget sometimes that, oh yeah, he's also nasty. But like G Town highlighted, he has wins over high level PR players. 2 wins on Nariel, 3 wins on me, 2 on Regex, 3 on Devin, 4 on Slox. Like that's a laundry list of wins, especially as somebody who doesn't travel a ton outside of Connecticut or adjacent areas, right? He has made the most of the things that he's gone to and the events he's played in. And I think that, you can't, like I was just saying, you can't forget that Artie is actually disgustingly good at the game, even though, he contributes so much to the community in other ways and so much to the game in other ways. But at his core, he's still a hell of a competitor in the most baseline sense. So good shit to Artie for 14. I want to, again, I'm obviously, you're going to do number 15 because we've been taking turns. But I wanted to highlight first that, as G-Town was just saying, the line between 14 and everybody else was very distinct. And as a result, that means there's one spot remaining on the PR, and we have a handful of people who are closely combating each other for it. To the point where the difference between number 15 and our honorable mention, correct me if I'm wrong, G-Town, was 1 vote on 1 ballot.
That is correct, yeah.
So this is the tightest race for the final spot that we've ever seen in New England PR history. So again, take it away, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, again, just before we mention this player, this is just such a contentious spot. There were so many people that could have taken it, and so many people. I mean, again, the reason why it's so difficult, I think it's a mark of the change in New England, and so many people doing so well and pushing to do, and just how stacked we are in so many different ways. So it's just so hard. But number 15 in summer 2025 New England Melee Power Ranking has to go to the one and only person that is just so ass at this video game. That player is Conflict. Congratulations to Conflict. Number 15. I know he can't believe it. I know he's watching. I know he can't believe it. Maybe he doesn't think he deserves it. I don't know. But hey, look, man, the panelists, they came back and they said, you're the guy, my man. So congratulations to Conflict, number 15. It had to be me to announce him because I'm not gonna lie, his record on me is kind of beast. Like he's 5-1 on me this season. I think a big part. He was up also. He did very well against other players as well, like Ember and Nick as well. But it's just like so telling in against Fox specifically. This guy is just a terror. I know that people like to say I'm not great against Falco. I swear to God, Conflict is a beast against Fox McCloud. And if you're a spacey player in general or a fast follower player, you do not want to see this man in brackets. So congratulations to Conflict. Well done, my man. Number 15.
Yeah, I can briefly speak on it. It's not too hard to see why he got it. I mean, 5-1 against you is, I mean, there's not a whole lot of people that are in this range that are putting up results that are quite like that. 1-1 against Ember, 1-1 against Glock, 1-0 against Golden, and also like for the most part cleaning up players that are outside of the PR for the most part. 4-0 on the Arbiter, 3-0 Deadstock, 1-0 Spades, 4-0 Future Shock. Um, just just a really, really good player. It's not the best buttons. It's not the best buttons that I've seen in a player. Just in terms just in terms of execution. He's definitely somebody that I feel in terms of skill is fitting to be in this range with the people above him. I don't think that there's much doubt, at least in my mind. And sure, maybe he might not see himself that way, but uh, the results are what they are, and he's absolutely earned being considered one of New England's very best.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge believer. I always have been since the first time I played him. I was like, I mean, the first time I feel like the first wave he really made was probably a year, maybe a year and a half ago when he just randomly beat Bonfire the first time they ever played, and then he did the same thing like 3 months later. They played again, and he just did it again, and it was like, oh, okay, like that was no fluke. And then the first time I played him, I was like, okay, this guy's like obviously nasty. I think the most impressive thing in the game, at least, like just talking about stuff in the game, I think his ability to switch between hyper aggression and really stout defense so quickly. I mean, as Falco, you have to be able to do that, but I think that's what makes him so proficient against both Fox and Sheik. I think those tend to be his strongest matchups. That's where he did a lot of damage in terms of his wins this PR period. I just think his ability to kind of shift gears quickly is super impressive. His wins obviously speak for themselves. I'm a huge believer in him. And I also have to mention, I know we're talking about the PR period that just happened, but he also just got himself off to a really fast start for the next PR period, doing some serious damage at SSS just a couple weeks ago, where he got fourth at like one of the most stacked tournaments that we're going to see this ranking period. He beat Project, he beat Electroman, and he had Bonfire on the ropes. So he's already off to a good start this period. He's defending that 15th spot already. So super impressive stuff. And I also want to just go ahead and say, because I don't want to tease too much, I did talk about how he won this 15 spot by one vote on one ballot. And our honorable mention for this PR period, and we can do a little talking about him as well, is Cool Slice. Cool Slice was one vote on one ballot away from making his debut on the PR. He makes his debut on the PR graphic, but unfortunately, just the tides were one vote away from him. So huge congrats to Cool Slice. I got to play him for the first time in a very long time early in this ranking period. I played him a handful of times at some locals, and it was a lot of fun. So I have nothing but respect for him. His wins are obviously super impressive too. You guys can probably speak more to him in particular, but I wanted to get that out of the way and offer him a huge congrats for debuting on the graphic for the first time.
Yeah, Cool Slice. Oh man, he's been around. I feel like we both really started to do well at tournaments around the same time, 2021 or so. And it's just like really cool to see another Fox player have this rise over time, because I feel like for a little bit there, he was kind of just like chilling where he was at. He was like a regularly on the mass PR and would do solid at tournaments. But this season especially, that I don't know. I don't actually, because I don't actually know like fully what his like practice routine or anything like that really super looks like. I talked to him a little bit, but I'll have to know even more. But he's just like, this season especially, things have changed. Like, it's so obvious to me. He is the Cool Slice that we know and love for sure. The full hoppy, going to the platform, Cool Slice for sure. But he's added new things to his gameplay, new skills, and he's just so efficient. And also, one of the things that I love about him especially is, as a Fox player, it's very easy to be inconsistent. But this guy really does not get upset, actually. It's one of the players that like I think it's one of, as you get better and better, it tends not to happen as much. But like, especially in kind of this tier 15 to like 25 range, every player kind of has like a bad matchup or so, or, a player that they struggle against that's like maybe slightly worse than them. Cool Slice really does not have that, actually. Like, this guy just does not got upset. He doesn't lose to people he's not supposed to lose to. He's very consistent. And as a Fox main, that is one of the best skills you can have to make it far in brackets. And that's why he's getting so many more chances now against some of our best players and doing so well. So it's just really cool to see him, another Fox player from Massachusetts, start to do even better and get even further in brackets. I want to see him rise even further. Now that he's going to be, I guess, the top dog at the Arcadian, we'll see. Maybe I'm jinxing it, but winning the Arcadian would be a killer thing for him. So congratulations, Alex Cool Slice. Super cool to see you here. And yeah, well done, man.
Yeah, I mean we get back to the consistency that he displayed, which was obviously but quite good, especially for somebody in this skill range. Um, the Jude Winnick collision is obviously like the biggest thing that stands out. Like he got win on a top 100 player. That's phenomenal. You know, collecting like having a positive record on Green Stash, who is number 11. We just found out. That's pretty good. Having wins on Glock, Ember, and Golden. Like you go over and you look at all that, and you're just like, pretty freaking good season. Yeah, he doesn't. Good consistency, got enough wins. Um, he's he's out here. He's making he's out here making HC and Worcester very proud. There's no doubt about it.
Yep.
So that is officially the newest New England PR. Congrats to everybody who made it. Super exciting time of year. I'm stoked to have it out. The graphic obviously is posted in chat. It's beautiful. Shout out to G Town for putting it together, doing one last bit of work on the graphics front to make things look beautiful for us. One of our best looking PRs, both in terms of the pure visuals and the names and everything. It's awesome. It's just awesome. So I just wanted to give G-Town the floor for a minute because I know this is the last PR you're going to be involved in. I'm not sure. I'm not to put you on the spot and say speech, but speech.
Well, what I would say about the PR process is that there's a lot of it's undergone a lot of change. It's undergone a lot of change, and it's not an easy thing to do every single time. There's a lot of different things that go into it. And you have to have like panelists that you trust to make sound and reasonable decisions. And I think that the work of like assembling all of the data is and making the graphics and doing all of that stuff. I would not recommend a one person do it. Definitely it's definitely a thing that's a lot better off when you're able to sort of decentralize it, and that's just kind of the way that's probably gonna have to be going forward. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like things are gonna be like exactly the same or whatever in future seasons. I have no idea what's gonna happen, but I'll be tapping people that I have a decent amount of trust in to make sure that the job gets done because because I think that there is a value to like having a big PR, right? Like having like an awesome graphic for people to aim to want to be on, um like goals to shoot for. And that and sure, it's not going to be exactly the same, but what I would say is that we have developed a blueprint for how to do it. We've developed a blueprint for how to do it, and I think that as long as people, we can find, as long as that formula is continuously followed, I'm not too worried about, how things are going to be going in future seasons. I do think I can briefly talk about like the methodology beyond this stuff or behind all this stuff, but broadly speaking, at the end of the day, you have to make judgment calls as to what you value more. Do you value, like wing tournaments more? Do you value getting, higher level wins more? Like there's always going to be like a push and pull, and there's always going to be a degree of subjectivity to all of that stuff, and like the race between 2 and 3 this time was a perfect example, you know, like Tommy, got, more overall like big tournament wins, but Neriel made it to grands of like virtually every tournament he attended except for one, and and collected an overall, like I guess I would say like higher quality of wins. And it's just like, which of those two do you value? I don't think that that's and I think that there's something to be said for the fact that we have so many players. They're so tight. They're so tight and so competitive that it makes this process very difficult to do. Especially last season. Last season, with the middle of it was a crazy, uh, crazy train wreck, I guess. But I would say, I'm happy, especially for like, like Conflict getting on there for a first time, phenomenal. Like Tommy and Ariel rocketing up into the top three. Uh, it's and New Hampshire having half the top 10 still, in spite of these new youngsters are coming up and make it hard for us to hold on. And I think also that I think also when it comes to New England Melee as a region, like sure, like a lot of us are spread out. We don't have a lot of us don't have a ton of chances to like play each other. Like you think about like how far like northern Maine is from southwestern Connecticut. That's a lot. It's a long distance, but I'm happy at least that we've been able to keep these tournaments going and support them. And and it's something that's meant a lot to me and still means a great deal to a great many people.
Well, we of course
Yeah.
thank you for your contributions, not just on the PR front, but on every front. Right? I've beat this drum so many times. I don't want to sit here and do it in front of a crowd of people, but how much you mean to me and how much you mean to everybody. And this PR is just a minuscule fraction of that. Again, you got anything else you want to say
Yeah,
before we pass out here?
yeah, for sure. I think the next like month and a half, it's really going to be the Tom celebration show. I'll take any second I can get, any tournament I can get to talk about Tom. And I remember you mentioned Tom, like the PRs, like making the PRs, it can really motivate people. I remember like in 2018, 2019, I remember going to the Arcadian and like looking at the PRs and those classic G-Town Tom PRs, the one, what we're talking about. Actually,
Yes,
Nick,
yes,
Nick and I are going to be doing at some point a very special thing with those PRs. So just
yes.
but I remember looking at those back in 2018, 2019 and being like, man, I would love to be on there. And it's just like, I think that we wouldn't have moments like that and stories like that without you and the job that you've done and your efficiency with all these things and being able to be so precise and try your best to put out a good product. Like that is just something that I don't always see from other places around the community. So it's really really cool to see it from you, and you've kind of built this culture up for the rest of us. I know I can say that for me. I know Nick can say that for him and others as well. So thank you very much, Tom. Job well done, and yeah, well done.
And thank you to everybody else for watching. This has been the New England Melee Podcast live little PR reveal. Stoked to have it done. Stoked to have it out. Pay attention. The Arcadian is this coming Saturday. We also have Mass Madness coming up. We have Sunset Melee coming up. Huge, huge stacked tournament. So, be in touch, be around, and there will be another New England Melee Podcast episode before you know it. So thank you, Gent. Thank you, G-Town, for helping me put this out there, for Gent for kind of being the spearhead of this whole thing. But I appreciate you guys for watching. We appreciate you guys, and we'll be back before you know it. It's gonna
Go
do
watch
it.
Hog.
Oh
Go
yeah,
watch
go watch
Hog.
Hog. Wait, we can raid
Happening
Hog.
right
What's
now.
the stream for it?
It's
Is
just
it?
Hog_CT.
All right, we're gonna raid
Go
into
watch
Hog.
Hog right now. The weekly in Connecticut, they're doing I mean, I'm sure I don't know how stacked it is. I'm sure it's stacked. Go watch. We're rating them. Go hit them with the follow, subscribe potentially. Go watch us some Killer Melee, y'all.
Thank you guys so much for watching. That's going to do it for us here at the New England Melee Podcast. Have a great night. Love you all. Bye bye.
Love you all. Bye.